Good morning.
Good morning.
I know it is a little warm. I'm myself also. Let me get going here. As you just heard, my former title was Academic and Student Services. My new area and title is, I should have drum roll, right? You already heard that. Academic and Student Success. Well, that says a lot. That says exactly what our chancellor just said this morning, didn't he? That we want to make us student-centered. We need to continue with that process. So my area has been changed to academic and student success. Very interesting though. You know, when you meet people, you ask, you know, what do you do? What do you get as a response typically? What their title is, right? So if you ask me what I do, I'm going to say I'm the Deputy Chancellor of Academic and Student Success. Well, what does that mean, right? To a lot of people, well, they might be able to figure it out. But I had the opportunity last week, a great opportunity, to listen to a very eloquent and intelligent speaker. And you all have heard him also. He's spoken at our graduations quite a bit. Colonel Hank Perry. He talked about titles and how you introduce yourself. And he said, you know what you should do? And I think this might be a little uncomfortable because I can't see me coming up to Angela and saying, Angela, what do you stand for? Instead of what do you do? You know, I mean, I don't know. Hey Les, what do you stand for? Yeah, I don't know. But this is what he said we should be doing. And while he was talking about that, I jotted down some of the things that I personally stand for. And I want to share those with you. I was going to actually take a picture of the paper I wrote it on, but you wouldn't be able to read it anyways. My writing is terrible. So what I jotted down was ethical principles, honesty, integrity, student success, which is in my title, right? Institutional success, and making a positive impact. So that's personally what came to my mind immediately while he was talking that I jotted down. So then I started thinking when I did these slides about all the divisions that fall under me. And miraculously, it aligns with what I did. So I feel very, very, very blessed that what I believe in, what I stand for, is actually what I do. So I'm going to talk to you about the various areas that fall under me. And most of you know them, but I wanted to give you some of the initiatives that they're working on or they've completed over this past year that lead to student success and persistence so that we get those points, those success points, and can maintain and help our students achieve their goals. So in the area of student success and persistence, and I know Dr. Carter asked if Julie was in the room. You didn't have to walk in. Julie Starkey is the Dean of Student Success and Persistence, and she's the Title IX Coordinator, as Dr. Carter mentioned. In her area, I think I mentioned last year that we were kicking off online tutoring, and we've done that. We've hit a little bump in the road with online tutoring. They do tons of face-to-face tutoring, but a little bump in the road because we don't have the expansive hours that, for instance, Eagles on Call has. When students think of online tutoring, they think they can give us a call at 2 a.m. to get help with the assignment you gave them. Well, I don't have the staff to do that. So if you talk about online tutoring to your students, don't give them the perception that we're here to help 24/7. I just don't have the staff to be able to do that. But it's a great opportunity for the students to get help during normal business hours. We have resubmitted Perkins, the Perkins grant, to continue hopefully with book lending for workforce courses as well as child care assistance. And if that goes through, we'll be able to continue those programs. Many of you heard about the term Target X. Target X, Target X, Target X. That's our new customer relation management system that we implemented last year. It's just what we call a CRM. And part of that ensures that we have contact with our students consistently, but there's also where you have been submitting early alerts, and thank you for that. Those early alerts go in, and they are helping us utilize a program that develops a risk score for the students. And it takes into account the academics of the student, the financial situation of the student, and engagement scores. And you can call that up in Target X. And you can see a red, yellow, or green. You can see your students, and you can see how they're doing. And we're going to be intervening and helping these students get to green. So this helps. There's some sort of algorithm that does it. I have no idea what it is, but Julie Starkey can tell you more about that. FAST. I'm not going to talk too much about that because she's coming up in maybe an hour or so to detail, give you more details about our QEP, FAST. All I want to say is it's still important. We still have to do it. I say have to. I want to do it, but I want to do it in a different way. But we still have to write about it. FAST, our QEP, is what SAC-COC is requiring of every institution. It's a quality enhancement plan. And about 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, y'all embarked on setting that up. It has morphed, and it's morphing into success teams. I believe we will be fine when we have to write our 10-page report on what we've done so far for our 5-year SACS review coming up. We're going to have to explain how we've had to morph it because, as you all know, there were some hiccups with the way you had to submit things, what you had to do with the students, contacting the students. You weren't able to get in touch with them. So we're going to have to write about all that and how we're going to change that. And success teams are going to be very important to student success. Many of you will be on those success teams. Many of you will participate because we're going to be surrounding these students. Each student will have their own success team. If they're a developmental student, they'll have a developmental faculty on there. If they're workforce, you'll have workforce, whatever program you're in, there'll be a faculty, there'll be a student success person on it. There's going to be all kinds of people to help these students, and that's all being organized by Julie Starkey's team, Student Success and Persistence. So that is where our QEP is morphing to. So that's exciting and good. Thank you, faculty participating in new student orientation. They do that panel now because the students want to hear from you. They want to hear what's expected from faculty. And by having that panel, it gives them some insight into what you expect, what they are expected to do, and how they can move forward and be successful in your classrooms. So again, thank you for participating in new student orientation. If you want to participate on that panel, please let Julie know. Also, you come and you set up your tables and you talk to the students, so thank you for that also. I believe that they're still working on cluster presentations to have detail that can be taken to road shows and various places about your programs. So continue working with Julie and Barbara Merlot on the cluster presentations so that we can get the word out about all the wonderful things your areas have to offer. We've got our students coming back, don't we? Next week, right? So we have Fall Welcome Week, August 26th through 29th, and then Spirit Week will be the week after. So at Spirit Week, I want to see everybody dressed Tropical Tuesday, Wacky Wednesday, Eagle Spirit Day Thursday, and Flashback Friday, and help our students to feel at home and have a student-centered campus by these activities. Student services. Well, just because my title changed and the area changed to student success doesn't mean that I just got rid of student services. We still have student services, and all that goes to student success as well. Some exciting things going on over in student services. We have implemented a program called waitlisting for our students. Now, there's two kinds of waitlisting. One, waitlisting on the classes, where even if the class is full, they can get on a wait list. But there's also waitlisting over in that building where students have been having to wait in previous semesters 4 and 5 hours, which I felt was unacceptable. What we've implemented is that a program that they can go in and can put themselves in the queue, where they go over there and they get assessed and determine who they need to see, and they're put into a queue, and on their phone, they'll know when their turn is. They will get a text message when they're about 3 people ahead of them, and that's it. And then they need to get back to campus. They'll say, come back to campus, so they don't have to hang around out there. And we still have some that just don't trust it, and they sit in the lobby with their phone, and they watch their name go up the list, which is fine. which is good. We don't mind them sitting there, it's great, but they don't have to. And that has helped tremendously. I've been over there several times, and normally it's standing room only at this time, and there's empty seats. So I don't know if that's good. I think, well, maybe we're not getting registration, but no, they're using the wait list. Okay, we still have evening and weekend advising. Please, if you get a chance, remind your students of that. Sometimes they get frustrated because they think we're only open during business hours and we shut down. That building, the Student Services building, does shut down at 5:30. But where's evening and weekend advising? The library, yes. Students can go there and still be advised. So I appreciate you sharing that information with them. And of course, they can always call Eagles on Call. I've had student comments about Eagles on Call that they appreciate that service so much, that they can get their questions answered, they can get their program changed, they can do whatever they want right over the phone with Eagles on Call. So that's awesome. Transcript services. Hopefully, before the end of this year, not fiscal year, the end of this actual end year, by December, we will have transcript services up. What that is we will have a service that they log into, like most of you have done to get the transcripts for CTC, that the college sends it directly. So this service, like National Clearinghouse, there's many of them out there, and we will be implementing that so students go online and get their transcript immediately. No more waiting. So I'm so excited about that. Road shows. Thank you for participating in our road shows. Those are the events that we hold at the high schools, at Copper's Cove and at Killeen, all the Killeen high schools, where we go out and you set up your tables and the students get to learn about your programs. We couldn't do those road shows without you. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for bringing things and little gizmos and gadgets for the students and handing things out and talking to them, because they're your potential students. So thank you very, very much. All right, I was told that I have to read this announcement. Dean Legree Roberts, are you still in here? Yeah, there she is. She's the Dean of Institutional Accountability and Curriculum Support. And she gave me this piece of paper to read. All department chairs and program coordinators are invited to tape a 2-minute brag vlog, video log. This is an opportunity to brag about your programs and tell the community what is great about your programs. This is an unscripted video log, nothing fancy, just you speaking highly of your department and program. Video logs are being filmed in the lobby at the end hall, all our pre-service days from 8:30 to noon. So right down there, and you can see Jennifer over there and Stephanie right there. Departments with the best vlogs will win a prize. Okay, not sure what it'll be, but you'll win something. Okay, so anyway, please do that. This will be very helpful. Anything else to add to that, Stephanie? Nope. All right, good deal. So let's see. Stephanie is going to be sharing a lot of what I'm saying tomorrow when we have our talk to you about SACS and the 5th year report coming up. And she's going to tell you all about the new SharePoint style, so stay tuned on that one. She wanted me to mention to you that our catalog, we're doing 1 catalog per year now. We're not doing a spring and a fall, we're doing 1 in the fall. That helps our students. By having 2 different catalogs with different programs twice a year, it's just too confusing for our students. So CRC is coming up next week. If you're a part of CRC, or if you turned in things about your program to change, we're still going to process them, but they won't go in until the fall catalog. She's going to have a new e-form for data requests from her area. Her institution effectiveness area is doing a wonderful research project on diversity and research. And diversity research on how that affects students. So I can't wait to see that report. And I'm sure she's going to be asking for input, but I think that's a great research project, because we know that there are barriers. And I think that doing this is going to help us to realize where we can make progress at our own institution. And they are putting on a bunch of professional development workshops and assessment practices institutional effectiveness, about program reviews and program outcomes and course outcomes. So stay tuned for those coming through. And I've mentioned a couple times about SAC COC, the 5th year report. Y'all went through this 5 years ago with the big 10-year, and it was a big one, where they were in here and they went through everything with fine-tooth comb. How many of you were here there during that time? A lot of you. Well, the 5 years shouldn't be as bad. It's a desk review. So we send the information to them and they review it. However, I'm eagerly anticipating the letter from them announcing that we have to do this in October. You say, well, why? What? You know you're going to have to do it and they can turn it in. What's the big deal? The big deal is that in that letter, they're supposed to tell me what semesters they are going to add on qualifications to teach. Okay? So if they say that they want to look at fall 2019, spring 2020, and summer 2020, I have to send them every class that you've taught along with your qualifications, and they go through it. If they have any questions, they come back to me and I get to justify it. So if I reach out to you, it's because I'm going to need help. Some of the little quirky things that have come up. Dean Anderson and I had the opportunity to serve on a review this past year. We were both reviewing separate colleges, but we were in Atlanta. And some of the things that came up with the faculty qualifications were the teaching of. So when you're looking at the 18 hours in a specific area, when you have courses that say teaching psychology or teaching English, they didn't want those to count because it's not a true course about the content, it's how to present the content. Now, don't get me wrong, we as an institution love to have that. We want to have our faculty having a class about teaching, but it can't count toward the 18 hours. And some of the other things that they honed in on, and Dean Anderson, you can kind of mention this too, if you want to support me on this or come up with something else, but they looked at masters in education degrees very, very closely. Because if you've got a master's in education and you're teaching English, they want to see that the English classes you took weren't high school level English classes or how to teach English, or the same with psychology. They wanted to see that the English classes, even though it had an English rubric, was a higher level, what you would get if you were getting an MA in English, not an MA in education. So that was enlightening to me. So when that comes through, we're going to have to be sure that we justify anything that we might have in that area. Anything else that you can remember from? No? Okay. We've also implemented another spreadsheet for additional requirements. Homeland Security was the first one to be added to that. Homeland Security, if you're not aware, is considered a workforce course in the state of Texas. However, the qualifications to teach that really need to be at a higher level. So while SACS has some minimum requirements, CTC has a little bit higher for normal workforce courses, but for Homeland Security and for some other programs, the department chairs going through Dean Anderson and Dr. Ady and I have worked out where we have a little bit higher level, higher requirement for some of that rather than the minimum. And that's good. That's good. That shows that we're looking at what's necessary to teach those courses effectively. So I just want to bring that to your attention. One of the areas that will be looked at closely during the 5th year is program outcomes. We're going to talk a lot about 5th year tomorrow, so I'm not going to harp on this, but we have to get those program outcomes done. All right, library. As you know, libraries are morphing. Has anybody been over the library recently? Have you seen any books downstairs? No, we still have books, but they're all what? Upstairs. We moved them all upstairs. Downstairs is more of a collaboration space. That's what we were making the library into. And they're creating an adjunct faculty room for your adjuncts. A place where the adjuncts can go if they want to have some quiet space with a computer and a place to do any kind of research or work. And full-time, you're welcome in there too. It's not, you don't have to show a card that says you're adjunct, okay? Anyway, we have a special collections room that we hope to do the ribbon cutting on sometime this fall. The library is also doing some makerspace areas. How many of you are familiar with makerspaces? Anybody? A few of you? Okay. I had to look this up. But what makerspaces are creative areas and functional spaces that have tools and things for people to work with, to learn, for our students to work with. One of the most prominent makerspaces that's almost done is the Allied Health room that will have tools there that students can use to help them study and to learn outside of the classroom. It's kind of like an additional lab that they can go to and work at. They're also revamping the TLC, the Teaching Learning Center. How many of you have sent your students over there that need help with writing? Yeah, okay, good, good. They had actual hours on the door for the TLC. And that's not the case. The student can walk into the library anytime they're open and get help with writing. So there's going to be some changes to the TLC. So that anytime your student needs help with writing, send them to the library. They'll be able to help you. All right, let's see if I can do marketing and outreach. Please, if you need help with your website, contact them. They're ready, willing, and able to help you get your website up to date. They're going through, and please try to review your website. If you see anything that's out of date, we need to get it fixed. We should constantly be doing that. I understand we're being live streamed. Is that correct? Yes. So I don't know if there was a disclaimer announced, but you're being live streamed, by the way. We've received 4 awards recently for our marketing and outreach. How many of you have seen the wonderful hands down commercial? Come on, raise your hand. Oh, you've got it. Isn't that great? We received an award for that. We received an award for our social media marketing. We've received awards for our digital videos and another award for social media marketing. So Barbara Merlot and her team are doing amazing. Any questions for me? Any questions? I took a little bit more time, but I really want to cover my areas. So I am blessed to have the people leading these teams aligning with what I stand for and what I believe in. So thank y'all so much.
Okay, thanks to our executive officers, to the chancellor. I know it's a lot, and a lot of it you may feel, okay, how does this affect my teaching here on Central Campus or on Portland? But it's important. It's important that you understand everything that we're doing, because all of that is trying to balance our revenues and expand and replace revenues that have gone away, so that we can all still do what we do. And so I have this little thing here, says Apere Vestigium. I think that's a Harry Potter thing. We are going to presto changeo, do some things that involve instruction. Deborah Prescott, you want to come up?
CTC has implemented several of the high-impact practices for community colleges, and Dr. Garrett mentioned many of those. Some of those include assessment and placement, student orientation, academic goal setting and planning, that's our faculty advising, registration before classes begin, accelerated or fast-track developmental education, go Math Express, early alerts and interventions, and so a lot of those things are going to be combined into Target X, and will be better serving students there. And then of course tutoring. So those are some of the best practices that are taking place on campus as a whole, and those are constantly being reviewed and improved to better serve students. But because everyone, or most everyone here is faculty, I wanted to focus on the best practice of collaboration. And so we have some collaborative activities and assignments we want to share with you. I have some volunteers to help me, so Tammy's here, and Lisa would come up, and Chastity would come up. We're going to share some things that are already going on our campus, and hopefully you find something that you could tweak and use in your classroom. Afterwards, though, we will have open mic, so if you have something that you do in your classroom and would like to share, we'll have opportunity to do that. So I am going to kick it off by black dress. What's your name? Angela. Okay. That's not the way to, engage your students, and I'm terrible at learning names. So the first thing, if you want to, have a nice personal relationship with students, is don't go, hey, you in the black dress. So we want to learn their names. And so what I do on day one is this. And notice the first thing we're going to talk about is introductions. And so I have my students fold a piece of cardstock in half and put this information on it. And then it sets up like a tent on their desk so I can see the names for the first week or so, and then I kind of get it down. So it helps me. But I'm also asking for other information that helps me. They don't know that, but I do. Math rating and what I want to be when I grow up. And I pay attention to those things, because if I have a student who says, I rate math a 2, and then when they get to what I want to grow up, they say an engineer, I have some concerns. Okay. But it's also, as they share, they find people in the classroom they have something in common with. Okay. And I get to learn names. And so we share those. Okay, everyone stands up and shares their little card. And then I share my card. So there's me. I rate math a 10. You would hope. And I'm a scuba diver, if you ever want to know.
All right. Yay.
Favorite. And so then we move on, though, and I want to teach them about some keys to success. And this is not only true in my classroom, this is true in any college classroom, and I try to get that point across to them. And I want to do it in a kind of a fun way. And so attendance is first. Everybody knows. And I'm going to apologize for the volume because some of them are different. Y'all know this one.
The guy doesn't say anything, right?
Here.
I have the subtitles right here.
Bueller.
Listen to this excuse.
My best friend's sister's boyfriend's brother's girlfriend heard from this guy who knows his kid is going with the girl who got very passed out of 31 flavors last month. It's pretty serious.
Thank you, sir.
No problem whatsoever.
Okay, so I tell them, and you've probably heard some really creative excuses before. So, come to class. I teach math. You have to come to math class to pass the math class. You get behind it, it's just a bad, snowball, I bet. And then communication.
Please tell me you speak English. I'm Detective Carter. Do you speak any English? Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Yeah, I usually stop it right there because that look right there at the end, and I tell myself, don't do that. Don't Jackie Chan me when I go, do you understand what I just said? They have no idea what I just said. And so be honest and communicate, and if you have any questions or concerns, you gotta let me know these things, okay? Everyone in this room is gonna appreciate the next one, okay? I'm here to help you, but you gotta let me know that you need help. But I kind of act this one out in class because I think it's funny.
I am out here for you. You don't know what it's like to be me out here for you. It is an up at dawn, dry, swallowing siege that I will never fully tell you about, okay? Help me. Help me.
Y'all appreciate that, right? Help me, help you, that's all I want. I had a student this semester, as a matter of fact, who would stay after class every day in the summertime. And he'd apologize. He said, I'm sorry, I bug you every day after class. And I said, I want you to bug me every day after class. I enjoy that time trying to explain and see your light bulb go on. What I don't understand is a student who sits in the back never says a word and fails. I don't get it. I don't understand. You have to communicate, and I'll help you, but I gotta know you need help. The right attitude, and so this is true about education in general, but a lot about math. I mean, how many in here just love math besides those two tables? See, most everybody's like, so you gotta have the right attitude, and in a college education, I try to explain, it represents that you're able to do the things you love to do, but you're also able to do the things you don't really love to do. Okay? And so you have to have the right attitude to do that, though. And so here's two people sharing the same event. So which one demonstrates your attitude?
15 seconds! No, wait, I can't do that! Sure you can! No, I can't! Really? It's not the jump you're afraid of! The hell it's not! You're just afraid your chute won't open, and you'll show up at your own funeral as a dead Muhammad! No, I'm pretty much just worried the chute won't open! No!
That's most people in there.
Man's got some lungs! Let's hit the steel!
So, who are you and what's your attitude toward the class? And even if it's something you don't really like or scares you, you got to have the right attitude about it, and you'll be more successful that way. And then here's my last and the cheer for the class.
Yeah, get in line. Look, is going to keep this fight focused on us, and that's what we need. That's what needs to run wild. Okay, start up top.
Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just... do it! Some people dream of success, while you're gonna wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible.
Now might be a really good time for you to get angry.
Do it!
So there's their cheer. Just do it. Okay. So there's kind of what I do on day one. Of course, I talk a little more in my classroom. But we have other people that want to share. And then, like I said, if you have anything you do in your classroom and would like to share, and hopefully you can take some ideas back, and we need to always look at improving and doing things a little bit better. One thing I want to do differently this next semester is I have rows of desks and chairs in my room, and I try to go at once a week or so. We'll practice. You got to practice to be good at math. And I'll say, get in groups of 3 or 4, and if your group has a question, let me know. And they don't group up. They won't group up. So now they have no choice. I have changed my room. I have pods of 4. They're going to walk in and freak out. And they're going to be in a group, and I think I'm going to get them to stand up, and anybody who rated math at 8, 9, or 10 is going to be at one of those tables. And then, everybody else can sit down. So we have somebody that knows what's going on at the table. But they're not going to have any choice but to collaborate, because they're going to be sitting with the group. And so we'll see how that goes. My fear is that I have 10 students show up to class and everyone sits at their own pod. So we'll see. Okay, so Lisa, Sorry, Tammy, I looked at Tammy and said Lisa. Tammy, if you don't mind, we'll go with you and then Lisa and Chelsea.
Good morning. Good morning. For those of you that don't know, my name is Tammy, and I get the blessing to serve as the chair for the Department of Nursing and Allied Health every day. So, thank you for having me. So, I was asked to share some of the wonderful and great things that my department does on the daily, pretty much, because as you know, our department with Nursing and Allied Health, real life application of evidence-based practice is essential, only because we're dealing with real people, we're dealing with real lives, and so the closest we can get to real application is better not only for us, but for you, right? Because you would be at the end of the receiving care of the wonderful students that we are training. And so I thought this would show a little bit bigger, so I hope that you can see some of this. But what you're looking at is all the different things that our department does every day with our students. And our department consists of our nursing programs, our EMS programs, we have medical lab technology, we have histology, phlebotomy, and we hope very soon we have massage therapy under us. And we're growing. We have lots of programs. So what you're seeing is multiple programs doing different things. And there's a couple things that I would like to highlight in these pictures. If you look to your far left bottom picture, you've got 2 faculty members for the associate degree nursing program. They actually do have lightsabers, and they are up front dressed as Star Wars, and they are presenting an objective from their lecture, and they're doing it with these lightsabers and doing a performance in front of the classroom, which is really, really neat to see. We've also there at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a little diagram that's out of Play-Doh. Some of our faculty, to get them to create organs and to depict the different areas of the organ, they'll use Play-Doh. We also have lots of paper. They do a lot of drawing. You know, we have an ambulance bay, and so we take chalk out there and they draw bodies out on the chalk, with the chalk on the ground, and they go through all the different parts of the body. Up at the top in the center, what that is our students intubating a mannequin underneath a vehicle, because sometimes we find our patients not in a bed, and so sometimes we find them upside down, and we find them in places that aren't very easy to get to. And so we put our students underneath vehicles, and we put them in vehicles in different ways and positions. And so there you've got 2 students trying to intubate a mannequin underneath a vehicle. To the far right center, you see our students practicing on students. So that is our massage therapy students practicing on our paramedic students' massages. So that's just one of the nice benefits to having massage therapy under our department. So those students have to practice. And so it's wonderful to have them hopefully joining our department as well. Up at the top right, you'll see some of our medical lab histology students, and they are working on some samples there, and they actually have to use reagents and stainings and products that are very similar to what they would have to use in the lab so that we can recreate that environment for them. The other thing with the center picture at the top, the mannequin. We do use a lot of mannequins because there are some procedures like intubation that we cannot practice on real people every day in the SIN hospital. So we do have to utilize our mannequins for some things. Down at the bottom right corner, we do have a collaborated effort of our paramedic students and our nursing students. This is a drill that they do where they have a scene outside, and then they practice bringing in the patients as if they would in a regular hospital. And when the paramedic students bring them over, they pass over care to the nursing students, and they work together, bridging that gap of collaboration and communication so that they learn how to communicate with other healthcare professions. Okay, and then there's more Play-Doh. We do like Play-Doh. But on the bottom left, I do want to show you the heart. Sometimes we use real parts. That is a pig heart, And that is the best heart because we don't want to take anybody else's heart out. So we use the pig heart to cut it open, identify vessels. It allows the students to be able to see what actually is being affected when you say you have an anterior lobe MI. And so that way they know what areas of the heart are being affected. We also have two pictures, the top right and the bottom middle. Those are students dancing to heart rhythms. So sometimes we can put rhythms up, have them dance what that rhythm would look like, and then the faculty member assesses, and they have a really good time dancing in front of the class. And then of course the center left, they're playing games out in the foyer. And this is the last slide, but what I wanted to share with you here is, so we also have to practice things such as mock disasters, and we have to be able to show the students that in those type of disasters where we have multiple patients, we do triage drills where we have these colored mats and we lay them out, because if you were to arrive maybe at a bus accident and you have multiple injured patients, all different levels, then you have to be able to sort them so that you know who needs to go first and who can wait for an ambulance, and who just doesn't need any care at all because they may not be alive. And so they have different color mats, and depending on their condition is what mat they might be put on. And so we recreate a drill, and then we have the students do a triage exercise where they place the patients where they think they should go, and then the instructor checks to make sure they triage them right. This is important, right? Because you don't want to be put on a black mat when you should be on a red mat, right? Yes. You all should be saying thank you for teaching them this, okay? Not that you ever would want to be in a disaster, but this is an important concept, that they can triage their patient correctly. So, so this is a drill that the EMS program does where they triage them on mats. You can see we're using the foyer out there. We actually have to put caution tape out there just so people don't think that there's something really going on. And so, so they do this drill there. They moulage up their patients. You can see that top picture where they use fake injuries, and they have a really good time doing this as well. So in addition to those things that are happening in the department, which are great and wonderful things, a couple of the professors sent me what they do in the classroom, so I want to just share that real quick. One of our professors, Professor Biggs, and she's here, she does the breakaway from PowerPoints. She tries to not use PowerPoints in her classroom. She does case studies in small groups, debriefs those outcomes. She uses games, crossword puzzles, and other interactive activities. Another one of our professors, Professor Williams, she's here, Dr. Williams. She does case studies, gives students mini lectures, follows those with S-bars and scenarios, creates simulation with the mannequins. If you've not ever been to our simulation hospital, you should come. I invite you. I'll take you around and show you. It is amazing. It actually looks like a hospital, and we have mannequins that actually breathe and blink and talk and shake and turn blue and do all kinds of fun things. And so we like to play with all of our mannequins. They all have names, and they all have different issues. And so if you've not ever been, you're welcome to come see that. And so Professor Williams uses those mannequins to create those simulations from those scenarios. Her students implement skills they have learned to provide patient care, including managing the patients that are deteriorating. So that's something nice about our mannequins, is that we can actually have them deteriorate. So not all the mannequins live, okay? They are living until we actually don't allow them to live anymore. And so I will tell you that you like this, you want this. You want us to kill the mannequins, right? So we have to practice on the mannequins, and we get to do both ways. Some of them live, and then some of them aren't as successful. And then we have Professor King. She's our assistant chair. She does a culture of the community activity. The students create a website to promote a community event in meeting a healthcare need. And so she brings in those concepts of the community to have the students work through different ideas. And so you can see with allied health and nursing, we actually have to be creative and we have to collaborate because we have to perform as a team. We are not individuals. Even though we have individual programs, we all work together. And you can see that each one of those disciplines I showed you, with phlebotomy and histology and medical lab and massage and nursing and EMS, they all have to work together for you. And so, so we do collaborate and we do enjoy, the different things that we get to do with our students. So thank you for allowing me to share.
Good morning. For those of you who don't know, I'm Lisa Obey, and I am in the math department, specifically with developmental math. So the unique thing about developmental math is that absolutely nobody wants to be there. We don't have students saying, oh, I just can't wait till my developmental math course, right? And so as educators across the board, we're constantly throwing down nets, right? We have tutoring, we have online resources, just tons of resources, just to try to catch those students who would maybe otherwise not pass the course. And I really think that there's this net that, although it's not new or profound, it's many times dismissed or even forgotten. So a few semesters ago, I'm on my way to class. It's a couple weeks into the semester. Monday morning, I rush into class, greet the class. Hey guys, let's get this party started, trying to get the momentum of the week going. And I start to log into the classroom computer, and I see a hand slowly begin to rise from my peripheral. And then a just as hesitant question follows. Are we going to get our motivational video? And I looked up just in time to see a nearby student whip her head around and say, I was just about to ask the same thing. And in that moment, something clicked. You see, these two students were from two very different walks of life. One student, the one who was hesitantly raising her hand, was probably in her late 30s, early 40s. Mom, it was her third or fourth time attempting this course. And she was in it to win it, but the math was a challenge for her. This other student, on the other hand, fresh out of high school, pretty much knew the math, just probably had a bad testing day. Mohawk, full nose ring, just two very different walks of life, right? But both of them were craving that motivational video. And when I started that out, I just thought, okay, they're gonna think this is corny. I come from a middle school background, so I'm like, yay, math guys, and everybody's like, wah, 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 we hate you, right? And I just thought, you know what? I'm just gonna make a very concentrated effort to bring some motivation in. And hey, at least if it doesn't motivate them, it'll motivate me, right? I'll be a little bit peppier. So I started these really quick clips. It was like a 1 to 3 minute video. I'd play it. Afterwards, I talk about it briefly, and then I give them like a call to action statement, like, come on guys, we can do this. Okay, here's the math, right? And I didn't realize until that moment how effective it was. And what I found out, not just that semester, but the following semesters, was that it was everybody, even the ones who didn't pass the course. And so sometimes success doesn't necessarily have to look like a passing grade. And I know that goes against everything, right, that we're talking about, like points and stuff, but it does tie in with those points and student success, because if we can get them motivated and get some of that head trash cleaned out, then they'll come back. They'll come back, and we've had students who have had to come back a second, a third, a fourth time, right? And so if we can put that seed in there that, hey, you can do it. You can do it, and that might look different. I presented this at TCCTA a couple semesters ago, and at a table talk, and one lady goes, we can't do all that. I was like, oh, okay. She goes, but I can press a button, so thank you. And I'm like, oh, okay, that was sort of a compliment. But she was like, okay, so that might look like a quote that you write on the board, or maybe you're like, look, I don't have class time, we got a lot of information to cover, so you're just emailing it out. once a week, or just something that tries to tackle that head trash, because I'm telling you, that is huge in student success. We have so many students who come in there, and again, it's math, and it's developmental math, so nobody is excited in there, nobody. They come in with a lot of math baggage, a lot of bad math baggage. They come in there sometimes resentful, sometimes disgruntled, sometimes it's like, I'm not stupid, and so they're a bit defensive, and you're like, okay, down, like, you know, we got this, I'm rooting for you. And we play those videos, or we just have a quick chat with them, and you see their defenses come down, and then they experience like their first success, or maybe not so much, but you say, don't worry about it, you know what? Okay, what can we do next time to be better, to do better? And then we see students who maybe would have otherwise not been successful be successful. And we even have students who leave the program and become math teachers. Wow. That is the power that we carry. And so I get it, we have curriculum to teach, but let's not forget that net of you can do it. That's power, higher military. Men, you know, like, yeah, I don't even know when to tell me I can do it, that have responded and have had these conversations, or, you know, have written reviews and said, yeah, that really helped me, or have come to me after class and say, hey, I got a motivational video too that I want to share. And so it's really, it is really profound. And like I said, this is not a new idea, right? But I think it's a much forgotten idea. So I encourage you this semester to make a very focused attempt to speak encouragement to your students.
So I'm Chastity Clemens. I am a business instructor and also the Net Impact Coordinator in the wonderful business department, the best department. And so I want to share with you a game that I actually shared with the Kate Center not too long ago. It's a game that I play in my classroom that my students tend to just love. So I don't know about you, but how many of you have students like around week 5, 6, they start disappearing, they don't show up, right? But what's funny is this game is, I have 100% attendance every time I play this game. It's called the Human Board Game. They are their own token. So they are the piece that moves on the board. What I do is literally, it doesn't cost much. White piece of paper, I laminated almost 200 of them. Don't kill me, Les. And I lay them on the ground, literally on the ground as spaces, okay? Just gonna do a couple, so forth. However, I do have these fun ones, like take 2 steps forward. Then I'll lay a bunch of other spaces, and I have ones that say go back 3 spaces, go back 2 spaces, and the one that they can't stand is trade space with someone. Then they have these dice. Guys, you get these at the Dollar Tree, literally $1. And so what I do is I take questions from all the chapters throughout the semester to help them study for the final. Put them in a bag and I put them in this big bowl, and I let them, first roll the dice, find out who goes first. And they line up on the start, and I have a start and I have a finish. And they, I grab the question. If they get the question right, they get to roll, okay? And if they get, their dots and on the dice, then they will move forward. However, if you roll any combination of 6, you go back 6. Oh, they hate that, okay? They really hate that. The thing is that it helps them remember, and then they constantly are listening to each other's questions, so they're not talking because they know that this is gonna help them with their final, but it's also fun and it's competitive. Now, you can do what you want, but in my classroom, I started out giving $20. I would take $20 to the board and say the first person was $20. It's funny, that didn't motivate them. It was the points. So then I started giving out 50 points for first place, 40 points for second place, and 30 points for third place. The 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, can we get like 3 points? Can we get 2 points? They're like happily for points. But it's a fun game, it gets them out of their seat, and it also can be used in any of your courses. So that's my best practice.